The Good Dinosaur is Pixar's second film this year after Inside Out, which I thought was terrific, and this film faced a lot of production problems. It actually changed directors throughout the entire production. It took longer, even by Pixar standards, for this film to come to fruition, but we're finally seeing it this Thanksgiving weekend, and the film is about a young dinosaur named Arlo, who is forced into an adventure in which he gets separated from his family, meets this strange little human kid who can't talk, and has to try to make his way back home. And the film asks the question, what would happen if the asteroid that supposedly killed all the dinosaurs missed Earth? The dinosaurs went on living and learned how to be farmers. And with Pixar movies, you can usually kind of tell the target audience. Some are more for adults and kids, the more family-oriented films like, say, Toy Story or Inside Out. And then some are just straight-up kids films like the Cars movies. Now, what I really liked about The Good Dinosaur is that it definitely is for the whole family. There is adult humor thrown in that's going to go over the kids' heads, and when they're older, they're going to grow up and realize, oh, I like that part. Now I understand everything. And there actually were some surprisingly intense moments where things got eaten and animals got their heads ripped off, and I was like, whoa! I was the only person in the theater tonight. There wasn't a single soul in that theater with me, which is actually glorious, but I actually screamed out loud when something happened because it was so disgusting. And if you've seen the movie, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It involves a large insect. The Good Dinosaur is not one of Pixar's best efforts. I wouldn't say it's a disappointing movie. I would say it's just fine. And in some ways, I guess if you were really excited for The Good Dinosaur and thought it was going to be an amazing film, that might disappoint you. But for me, I found a lot to like in The Good Dinosaur, particularly in the stunning animation. The scenic backdrops for this movie look photorealistic. In fact, it kind of reminded me of one of Disney's earlier efforts, Dinosaur. Now, the thing I liked more about Dinosaur than The Good Dinosaur is the character models. In The Good Dinosaur, they're very cartoonish, and the backgrounds are so realistic that at times I felt that actually clashed with one another. As an adult, I was expecting slightly more realistic looking creatures, and I think that would have benefited the more heartfelt story, because the character models feel more cartoonish than its story and its amazing scenic backdrops that almost look as if they filmed it with a real camera. But then there's the flip side to that. If I was 10 years old, I wouldn't care. I'd be having a great time watching this movie. So as an adult, sometimes we tend to nitpick some of these films that are more aimed at children or younger audiences. And at some point you realize it's sort of a futile effort because the main audience of this movie is not going to care if the character models look a little cartoonish. They're just going to be having a great time. But there are actually some really beautiful scenes in this movie, particularly in Arlo's connection with this little boy that he meets, and this heart-wrenching scene on a beach at night where they both, in a way, tell each other their pasts. It broke my heart. It was a fantastic scene. There are some really great scenes laid throughout this movie. My main issue with it is that as Arlo meets various dinosaurs, it feels broken. It doesn't feel as if we are watching a straightforward narrative. There are some scenes that I feel could be completely ripped out of the movie and it wouldn't change the story at all. Particularly when he meets these dinosaurs that are trying to find a lost herd. That whole sequence to me just felt like it broke away from the movie and it didn't even really need to be there. What Pixar does best is create stellar animation that does touch you in the heart, make characters that you care about, and makes you want to watch more and makes you want to buy all the toys and all the merchandising. They're really good at that. Their first movie ever was called Toy Story, and I still love it to this day, and it's all about toys. So yeah, they're smart. They know what they're doing. With The Good Dinosaur, it is not as good as some of their other efforts. The characters aren't as memorable as some of their other films. The animation is fantastic, although too cartoony. And while I did enjoy the main story, the narrative wasn't as strong as it could be. But the truth of all of this is, most kids who see this movie won't care. They'll be having the time of their lives. I do think it's a good family movie, but I would strongly recommend that you see Creed this weekend. Please, it is a fantastic movie that needs to be seen. As for The Good Dinosaur, I'm going to give it a B. Guys, what are some of your favorite or least favorite Pixar movies? They're going strong. I think they've made 16 now. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I grew up with them, and it's kind of nuts to see how far they've come. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.